2023 Periodic Review of Westminster Constituencies. The 2023 Periodic Review of Westminster Constituencies is the current cycle of the process to redraw the constituency map for the House of Commons. The process for periodic reviews of parliamentary constituencies in the United Kingdom is governed by the Parliamentary Constituencies Act 1986, as amended by the Parliamentary Voting System and Constituencies Act 2011, and subsequently by the Parliamentary Constituencies Act 2020. This review is the successor to the Sixth Periodic Review of Westminster Constituencies, which was ultimately abandoned after two successive proposals by the commissions failed to pass into law. Under current legislation, the four boundary commissions of the United Kingdom are required to report on their next review of the boundaries of parliamentary constituencies before 1 July 2023. In order to meet this deadline, the commissions began their work on 5 January 2021. Previous review. Proposed changes. The government's policy position regarding the process for the 2023 review was confirmed in a written statement entitled Strengthening Democracy by Minister of State for the Cabinet Office Chloe Smith on 24 March 2020. Smith confirmed in her written statement that primary legislation would be brought forward to remove the legal requirement to give effect to the recommendations of the Sixth Review and set the framework for future boundary reviews. The main proposals in the statement were as follows: maintaining 650 seats. Under the legislation which governed the unimplemented 2018 boundary review recommendations, the number of constituencies was to be reduced from 650 to 600. It was proposed that this be retained at 650, on the grounds that Parliament will have a greater workload following the UK departure from the European Union. Electoral quota tolerance. It was proposed to maintain the current tolerance of plus 5% from the average size of constituencies, the electoral quota. Protected constituencies. It was initially proposed that there would be no change to the four protected constituencies of Isle of Wight divided into two seats, not H. Eileanan and Eyre, the Western Isles of Scotland, and Orkney and Shetland, the Northern Isles of Scotland, which are protected from the electoral quota due to their unique geography. However, during the passage of the legislation, an amendment was introduced to add Unismon, the Isle of Anglesey in Wales, increasing the number of protected constituencies to 5. Boundary review cycle. It was proposed that reviews be carried out every 8 years, rather than the current requirement of 5 years. Implementation of recommendations. Currently, the final proposals of the boundary commissions are brought into effect through an order in Council that must be approved by Parliament. It was proposed that the order in Council be automatically passed in future. Legislation. A Bill of Parliament was introduced on 19 May 2020 to reflect the written statement. The Parliamentary Constituencies Act 2020 received royal assent on 14 December 2020. The Act amends the regulations underpinning the upcoming boundary review process, including the Parliamentary Constituencies Act 1986, Northern Ireland Act 1998, Boundary Commissions Act 1992, and Parliamentary Voting System and Constituencies Act 2011. A summary of the main provisions of the Act are as follows. Clause 1. Reports of the boundary commissions. Each boundary commission must submit a report before 1 July 2023, T3, B before 1 October 2031, and C before 1 October of every 8th year after that. Clause 2. Orders in Council giving effect to reports. This gives effect to the proposal that the orders in Council be automatically passed. The orders must be made within 4 months of the reports being laid before Parliament, unless there are exceptional circumstances. Clause 3. Modifications of recommendations in reports. A boundary commission may submit modifications to its report after it has been submitted but before an order in Council has been drafted. Clause 4. Publicity and consultation. This clause changes the timings in respect of various stages in the publicity and consultation procedures. Clause 5. Number of parliamentary constituencies. The number of constituencies will remain at 650. Clause 6. Taking account of local government boundaries. This amends the rules regarding the factors a commission may take into account to include local government boundaries which are prospective on the review date, as opposed to just being effective. Prospective local government boundaries are those which have been specified by legislation, but have not yet become effective. Clause 7. Protected constituencies. This is uneasement defined as the area of the Isle of Anglesey County Council as a protected constituency. Clause 8. Registers used to determine the electorate in relation to the 2023 reports. For the 2023 reports, the date for determining the electorate to be used in the reviews is 2 March 2020 rather than 1 December 2020. This amendment was specifically inserted partly because of the shorter time frame for submitting the reports, but primarily because of concerns over collecting the data during the COVID-19 pandemic. Clause 9. Alteration of the review date in relation to the 2023 reports. For the 2023 reports, the review date is specified as 1 December 2020, rather than 2 years and 10 months before the report date. Clause 10. Removal of duty to implement, etc., in relation to current reports. This clause formally removes the duty to implement the previous reviews which were submitted in September 2018. Commencement of reviews. The 4 boundary commissions formally launched their 2023 reviews on 5 January 2021 to coincide with the release by the Office for National Statistics (ONS) of electorate data, as published on TOOM. The commissions jointly calculated the relevant electoral quota/range to be used for the 2023 review and the allocation of parliamentary constituencies between the 4 nations. The English Commission further divided its allocation between the 9 regions of England. Size of constituencies. The electorate of the United Kingdom, comprising 650 constituencies, as determined by the ONS, was 47,558,398 on 2 March 2020. The electorate of the 5 protected constituencies, Isle of Wight 2 seats, not H. Eileanan and Eyre, Orkney, and Shetland and Uneasmont, amounted to 220,132, leaving 47,338,266 to be distributed between the remaining 645 constituencies. Each non-protected constituency must have an electorate which is within 5% of this quota, which gives a permitted electoral range of 69,724 to 77,062. In Northern Ireland, the legislation allows for a wider range, in certain prescribed circumstances, from 68,313 to 77,062. Of the 646 unprotected constituencies, Isle of Wight currently has only 1 seat. 236 have electorates within the permitted range, while 203 are below and 207 are above. The regional distribution of these seats is shown in the following table. Distribution of seats. United Kingdom. The 650 constituencies were allocated between the 4 nations of the UK in accordance with the method of allocation specified by the legislation as shown in the table below. Regions of England. The Commission for England has applied the same distribution formula to the English allocation, which results in the following redistribution of constituencies among the English regions. Asterisk excluding Isle of Wight. Comparison with the 5th review. Review. The current constituency boundaries are largely based on the 5th Periodic Review of Westminster constituencies, which was carried out by the Boundary Commissions between 2000 and 2007. The Scottish Review was completed in time for the 2005 general election, with the other 3 reviews coming into effect at the 2010 general election. In England, the 5th review was based on the number of electors on the Electoral Register published in February 2000. The electorates were therefore already 10 years out of date by the time it came into effect, and over 20 years have now passed. The table below shows the movements in the national/regional electorates since those used for the fifth review. Prospective wards. The detailed constituency and ward electorates issued by the ONS are based on the local authority boundaries which are currently effective and do not take account of prospective changes which have been enacted on 1 December. There are 31 such local authorities in England, of which 16 are London boroughs. The Commission for England subsequently worked with local authorities to produce updated data which includes these prospective wards. A comprehensive list of ward electorates was published on 24 March 2021. Timetable. The initial outline timetable published by the Commission for England is as follows. January 2021. Begin development of initial proposals. 10 May 2021. Published guide to the 2023 review. 8 June 2021. Publish initial proposals and conduct 8-week written consultation. Early 2022. Publish responses to initial proposals and conduct 6-week secondary consultation, including between 2 and 5 public hearings in each region. Late 2022. Publish revised proposals and conduct 4-week written consultation. June 2023. Submit and publish final report and recommendations. Initial proposals. England. The Boundary Commission for England published their initial proposals on 8 June 2021. The proposals represent significant changes to the existing boundaries, with just 47 existing constituencies remaining unchanged, just under 10% of existing constituencies. In addition, a further 69 constituencies were unchanged except to realign boundaries with new or prospective local government ward boundaries. Due to the constraints on the size of constituency electorates, it was not always possible to allocate whole numbers of constituencies to individual counties and to avoid crossing county boundaries. Accordingly, each region was divided into subregions which comprised a whole number of constituencies. The information in the table below is primarily extracted from the Commission's summary sheets for each region. Northern Ireland. Initial proposals not yet published due autumn in 2021. Scotland. Initial proposals not yet published due autumn in 2021. Wales. Initial proposals not yet published due September in 2021. Political impact. According to analysis carried out by an electoral modeling consultancy, 18 constituencies in England would disappear, i.e. be broken up, and not form the larger part of any proposed seats, while there would be 28 wholly new constituencies, proposed seats which don't contain the larger part of any pre-existing seat. If the 2019 general election was rerun under the boundaries in the initial proposals, it is estimated that a further 17 seats would change hands. The effects would be a net gain of 15 seats for the Conservatives, a net loss of 4 for Labour, and a loss of 1 for the Liberal Democrats Westmoreland and Lonsdale, held by the former leader, Tim Farron.